Well, let's go back inside the coach's room again to break down more film for this Stanley Cup Final preview. We've already taken a look at the Florida Panthers offense and how the Edmonton Oilers are going to defend them. Well, next up, it's the neutral zone. And how are these two teams going to play in the neutral zone? And this is going to be a very important part of this series. And who can control the space between the blue lines is going to make a huge difference. So let's go back and let's go check out more video to see what we can find out on this one. And by the way, that's what players love to hear. Let's go watch more video. They don't. So here we are. One of the biggest things that creates offense for the Edmonton Oilers off of the rush is Connor McDavid. This team has scored 21 goals off of the rush. They're dangerous when they have the puck between the blue lines. And one of the reasons why is Connor McDavid. When you give Connor McDavid this much space and this much time, he is going to get up to full speed and he's going to be difficult to stop. And you can see it here against the Vegas Golden Knights. This is up against Jack Eichel, and Jack Eichel is standing still. You cannot defend Connor McDavid if you're standing still between the blue lines. The Edmonton Oilers are too fast. Draisaitl can get up to speed like this, and they're way too dangerous off of the rush because of the speed of Connor McDavid. And you need to be above him. So what does that mean? Here's the Dallas Stars. Rantanen looks like he's got him. You're above McDavid. Staying above the player means staying between him and your goaltender. So right now, you need to be a player and you need to be right in front of Connor McDavid anytime he's on the ice between the neutral zone. You have to. Whether he's got the puck or not, you have to be between him and your goaltender, or he is going to get the puck and he's going to use his speed to beat you. And here's what happens to Rantanen. He thinks he has him, but then he doesn't. He doesn't stay in his path. He doesn't stay above McDavid, and McDavid uses his speed to go through the neutral zone. And again, he's able to make the defensemen look like they're standing still and create offense like this. One of the biggest tasks for the Florida Panthers in this series is to slow Connor McDavid down between the blue lines. The other thing that they do between the blue lines to generate offense is they stretch the zone. Well, what does that mean? It means they're going to leave the zone early. You're going to look at their offensive players trying to get up the ice and trying to create more space between the puck and themselves, which makes it harder to defend. So they're going to stretch the zone. And you can see in this example where the defensemen are key in this. They have to make great plays and they have to be able to get it by the opposing defenders like they did here. And when you do that, you have all kinds of room. When you can get this pass through and you can make these stretch plays, you're able to get more speed. You have more room through the neutral zone. And again, here comes Connor McDavid as the late guy, and he again is able to generate offense off of the rush. You have to stop the Edmonton Oilers between the blue lines if you want to keep them off the score sheet. You're going to see it again against Dallas. Their ability to stretch the zone, get the puck up, and go all the way to the far blue line. And again, it's McDavid and their ability to make plays. Now, when you're defending Connor McDavid, you can see eyes are on the puck. You focus on Connor McDavid, and that causes you sometimes to over back check, and that allows Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers to use the players coming in late, and they're going to use their defensemen. You're going to see Bouchard. In this case, it's Kulak. They're going to come in late on these plays, be the fourth man, and they're going to attack the net and help generate again off of the rush. Here, Kulak's able to score in Game 2 against Dallas by joining the rush, so expect their D to be up in the rush too. They also make quick plays, and this is again on the defenseman. Look at the defenseman. Look, he knows what's happening, and he's got to get the puck up the ice quickly. Their opponent's going on a line change. So you turn and you fire the puck. And you get the puck all the way up the ice and you stretch the zone again. And this plays, again, with your speed of the Edmonton Oilers, you're going to have to make really good line changes to get them. You cannot allow them to make plays like this in behind you off of line changes. Their defensemen get the puck up the ice too quickly and they're way too dangerous. This is how Edmonton generates their offense through the blue lines. Now, we talked about how they generate. Now, how do they defend it? Well, sometimes they get their offense going up the ice, and you're going to see here they're looking for offense. And when they're looking for offense, sometimes this might be an area where the Florida Panthers can take advantage of the Edmonton Oilers and try to get in behind them. If they can get the puck in battles higher up on the wall and get the puck past that layer, they might be able to generate off of the rush against these Edmonton Oilers. And this is early in the playoffs. And this is against the LA Kings where they gave up an opportunity like this off of the rush. But since then, they defend a little bit better through the neutral zone. They defend a little bit differently. One of the things you're going to see from the Edmonton Oilers through the neutral zone, you're going to see them, we call this being passive. They're going to back up and they're going to allow the rush come to them. They're not going to attack the rush and give themselves up and let the rush get in behind them. They're going to be a little more passive, let the rush come to them, and they're going to defend the middle of the ice. And that's the most dangerous part of the ice, and Edmonton defends it very well. You're going to see stick on puck. They break this play up. They defend the middle of the ice, and Dallas is unable to get a scoring chance off of the rush. You're going to see it again as the Dallas Stars try to come up the ice here, and you're going to see again, if you're playing the Florida Panthers right now, or the Carolina Hurricanes, you're going to see a defenseman stepping up right here and trying to hold the blue line. The Edmonton Oilers don't do that. They're going to back off. They're going to let the rush come to you. They're going to be a little more passive through the blue line and not allow that team to get a scoring chance by creating an odd man rush. Force them to dump here. They get first on the puck, and now it's their puck again in the defensive zone. You're going to see it again against Vegas, and their ability to get away and back off from that blue line and allow the rush to come to them. And it gives them more time and more space to make a play and to keep their opponent out of the middle of the ice. So that's what they're trying to accomplish through the neutral zone. They're trying to stop that play. And again, it's a good stick on puck, and they're able to keep their opponents from getting the pucks to the middle of the ice. Look for that on how the Edmonton Oilers are going to defend the Florida Panthers. One other guy you have to keep an eye on, and I know I've talked about him a lot already, but look at the guy at the very back of this play, the Connor McDavid, the farthest Oiler from the play. Even if you have them beat, because sometimes the defensemen are going to step up. The defensemen for the Edmonton Oilers are still looking for offense. They generate offense. So at times they are going to get caught. This is what they want to see out of their top players, not just playing on the offensive side of the puck and trying to generate offense. They want to see their top players defend and back check like this. And that's why 97 is such a great player for these Edmonton Oilers. But how are the Florida Panthers going to stop it? Well, the Florida Panthers are incredibly dangerous between the blue lines, doing something different. They're great at defending between the blue lines, and they have what's called a tight gap. The gap is the space between the forward of your opponent and the defenseman of your team. This is a tight gap. They do not give their opponents much room to move. They don't allow them to get time and space between the blue lines. They want to stop them and create a turnover at the red line and get the puck going back the other way. This is how the Florida Panthers are going to try to eliminate the speed of the Edmonton Oilers, by having these tight gaps through the neutral zone, like they did against Toronto, a team that uses their team speed to get through the neutral zone and looking for those stretch plays. Look at the Florida defenseman right up on the Toronto Maple Leaf. And again, tight gaps, turnovers, go the other way. And you're going to see it again here. This time it's Ekblad. And you watch as a defenseman, instead of backing up and trying to defend this rush, he is going to step up and use his physicality, and he's able to defend this play, knock the player off the puck. And again, now the Florida Panthers have the puck. So expect them to have that tighter gap for defending. But that tighter gap also allows them to play in transition and generate offense. You're going to see here, this is game 7 of against the Toronto Maple Leafs. This is William Nylander, who needs to make a play to get up the ice, and this is a team that uses their speed, just like Edmonton, to get up the zone. And look how tight Jones is on Nylander. Doesn't allow Nylander to get the puck, gets the puck going back the other way, and it's not just about defending, it's about creating offense. Florida generates offense through the neutral zone by creating turnovers and getting on transition. Here again, you see them driving the net, getting pucks at the net, just like they did inside the blue line when they're in the offensive zone. They get to the net hard. And again, here they are against Carolina Hurricanes. Again, it's a tight gap. Again, it doesn't allow their opponent to get through the neutral zone with speed. Again, it creates a turnover. And again, it starts transition. And Florida is going to try to generate against the Edmonton Oilers off of neutral zone turnovers and then attacking the net from there. And one of the issues you get with an aggressive D through the neutral zone, and you can see it here, as the Florida Panther defenseman steps up on the Toronto Maple Leafs. You want to try to get that puck in behind them. And that's what Edmonton's going to try to do. Edmonton's going to try to beat that aggressive tight gap by chipping pucks in behind those Florida Panthers. They want to create odd man rushes in behind the tight gap of the Florida Panthers and trying to create offense even with that aggressive play of the Florida Panthers. So it's really going to come down to who can do that better, who does their good thing better. And when you look at the Florida Panthers on offense, they get their D to join. And we're going to say, hey, everybody's D join. I know Bouchard's going to join. They're going to get their defenseman. Ekholm's going to join. They're going to join as well. You're going to see a lot of the late man and a 4-man rush for the Edmonton Oilers. For the Florida Panthers, their D are going to lead the rush. And you're going to see the defenseman driving the net. One thing Florida does, they're going to drive the net and try to get to the blue paint just like they did on the offensive zone. They're going to try to do off the rush as well. This is the look they want to have off of their rush. They want to generate by driving the net. You're going to see it again here. Here's the D joining, and then you drive the net. And when you drive the net, what do? If you've watched any of these videos, you know you drive the net, you pull back the defender. And when you pull back the defender, you open up this play in behind. Now, in this particular play for the Florida Panthers, he was able to drive the lane and he was able to get free of his defender. So Bennett's able to slide the puck to him, but expect the Florida Panthers to drive the middle lane against the Edmonton Oilers. This neutral zone is going to be a tight battle. And it's going to be one of those key areas of the ice. I talked about it in the offensive for the Florida Panthers, that area in front of Skinner. Can Florida get to the net, or can Edmonton continue to defend the house? That's a key area. Well, the neutral zone's another key area. Can the tight gap of the Florida Panthers stop the speed and the rush of the Edmonton Oilers? Can they stop Connor McDavid from breaking through and getting odd man rush opportunities at Bobrovsky? The neutral zone is a big key in this series. It's gap versus speed. And make sure you stay tuned and subscribe to Inside the Coach's Room, because there's a lot more coming. We got one more video before the game tomorrow. It's Edmonton's offense against Florida's defense. Appreciate you coming inside the Coach's Room and watch me break down all these videos as the Stanley Cup playoffs continue. And I'm going to be here right up until they award the Stanley Cup. So make sure you're subscribed, tune in, and learn a little bit more about the fastest game on ice. I'm Petey, and we'll see you at the rink.